Welcome to episode number 88 of the Closing Table with Lawyers title. I'm your host, Tamera Gady. Today's guest, Tony Caliendo, is going to talk about mindset for 2025 right after this.
Welcome to the Closing Table with host Tamera Gady, where we break down how to be successful in real estate and what it's really like to work in the real estate business. This is the Closing Table with Lawyers title.
Welcome back. Today's guest is tapping in remotely. First time I've ever done this. So we're going to have something new today. Tony Caliendo, a lot of you guys are going to know him, especially my Dallas people. He is co-founder of Rethink Coaching, and he has been in Dallas real estate. He told me yesterday since 2001. That's a very long time, Tony. So it's been having him on the show today is incredibly important because the election is over. We're through the NAR settlement stuff for the most part. There's still a couple of post wrinkles coming out, but for the most part, we're through all of that. And the fatigue that people are feeling in real estate is real. I feel it. And I talked to him honestly about it yesterday. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation with him today about how do we recharge, reset, and reframe, get ready to rebound for 2025. That's a lot of something. We're going to do all those things. We're going to rethink. We're going to reframe. We're going to rebound. That's, I think, my word for 2025 is rebound. So I'm excited to have Tony on the show today and talk to us about all things mindset. Tony.
Thank you.
Hi.
Gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
You're on the show. I have known you for, I haven't been in real estate since 2001. I've been in real estate since, well, technically it was 2009, but really I started with Arch in 2010. So I've probably known you about that whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember where you were in 2010, what you were doing?
Yeah, I was a team leader, Keller Williams, Urban, Dallas.
Yes.
Yeah, during that lovely time of being a real estate agent in the 08-09 era.
Yeah, we didn't do any business. We just kind of hung out and, had broker opens and sat around and got to know each other. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have moved on to a lot of things since then, but now you are a predominant real estate coach and co-founder of Rethink Coaching.
Yes.
So why don't you tell the audience, let's set the stage for you to be positioned as the real estate coach for today's conversation. So tell us about your background. Tell us how you got here.
Yeah. So started in 01 selling with Ebby Halliday back in the day, and then went into leadership. And it was during that time that I was introduced. I've had a coach prior to that, was introduced to coaching and into the NLP world through a training program I took. And so I started pivoted from sales and leadership to coaching full time back in 2010-ish, 2011. So I've been coaching full time for quite a while.
Well, wait a minute. Let me ask you a question because it's something that's been posed to me recently. What made you want to leave the sales world and go into coaching? Because I have been asked if I wanted to do that and I turned it down because I like to hunt and kill.
Yep.
I don't want to teach other people how to hunt.
It's a great question. And I still hunt and kill because I still have to lead generate for clients. So
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you do.
it's just a transferable skill. And honestly, to be able, I love selling and I sold at a really high level and it was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But when I really assessed my life, and my coach had me do this, really took a step back and said, what is it that brings me, that electricity, that energy? And it was coaching. And so the pivot to it, and what's funny is I'm licensed Texas, California, New Mexico. So you never really get out of selling real estate. Yeah.
And you live in other fabulous places. I actually had to ask you yesterday where you were.
I have to look every once in a while to figure out where I am.
It's
primarily
so hard to you, Tony.
Where's he today? Primarily Santa Fe, and we spent a bit of time in Dana Point, California. So that was with intention. That was part
of by design.
Yep.
So you've been coaching since you moved out of sales.
Yep.
But you were with Keller Williams doing coaching for a long time, and then you started your own company. When did you start Rethink Coaching?
2019. So we're
okay.
Yeah.
Well, kind of moving into what I wanted to talk to you today. The title of the podcast is Do We Get to Take a Break from Real Estate? Do we get to take a break right now? And I will tell you, if you ask Fidelity, the answer is no. No, you do not. Now is the time to ramp up and get ready. And you're setting the stage for the contracts you're going to get in first quarter of 2025. But before we talk about ramping up, let's talk about, because I want to take a break. Mindset. Okay. And I talked to you about this yesterday. Look, we have the sunshine and rainbow people, right? The people that are always positive about whatever is going on right now. And I have to be a social chameleon in my job. And I'm like, yeah, it's a great time to be in real estate. Now, it is a great time to be in real estate. I'm not trying to say that it's not. Okay. We are incredibly lucky in DFW to be a part of what has been a magical and robust real estate market and will continue to be one, right? Yes. However, the last 2 years, I mean, ever since COVID, we have not been able to let off the gas. Okay. And there is a time where I think we're here, where everyone has some sort of fatigue from the election, fatigue from the NAR stuff this year, fatigue from the market being slower. Okay. Again, we're still incredibly lucky. So, I want to be honest about how I feel about this year, even though I'm still at the top of my game, right? I think we're all feeling some level of fatigue, and I think it's okay to be honest about that, Yep. So what words of wisdom do you have for us right now when we're trying to decide, should we take a break? We know we're supposed to be ramping, like we have this push-pull thing going on right now. So help us navigate through the push-pull.
Yeah, Tamera, we're all experiencing it. And I can tell you that I say this a lot. We're kind of at the end of it, of things that are going on, and we've been stretched and we've been pushed and we've been pulled and really been tested. And what I like to say is everything that you mentioned, COVID, high interest rates, low supply, all the stuff, the election, everything is really just a circumstance. It's just something that happened that we don't have control over. And when you position it that it's just something, right, and don't give it good or bad, it just happened. It was a circumstance that we were exposed to. And what makes the difference is what you choose to do with it. Okay. And so is the market good or bad? That's up to you. Is it, am I overwhelmed? That's up to you. It really, and I don't mean to be cold about it, but it is just taking it and removing the emotion from it. Neutralizing the circumstance helps tremendously to calm the brain a little bit and allow you to think differently. So the election's over, it's done. The COVID's behind us, all of that stuff, and just neutralize it. It doesn't mean anything good or bad. It's just
on a micro level. How do you neutralize that? Like what does that mean? Does that mean we need to take a day and maybe just not do anything and contemplate, maybe journal or meditate, or I don't know, what advice do you have for us on a micro level?
So on a micro level is just really look at if you've got a charge around something, like if you've got a strong opinion or a feeling, or it's creating a lot of negativity for you, is to just sit with that and ask yourself, what specifically is the situation? Why am I feeling this energy around it or this charge around it? And do your best to neutralize it. It's just this, period. Now, when I bring it to my conscious mind, I'm going to assign it an emotion, good, bad, and so you do have the opportunity to look at it and say, okay, the interest rates, I don't have control over it. I don't. It is just what it is. It's just a fact. Now, what I choose to do with it is really up to me. If I give it all of my energy and all of my attention, that's what I'm going to experience. Is nobody's going to buy, nobody's going to sell. That's what I'll get in return. So I do recommend sitting with the things that you have a charge around, doing your best job to just neutralize it and just make it a fact. Don't give it a good or a bad. And do spend some time journaling. Do spend some time doing a deep dive on it as to why is this impacting me the way it's impacting me? And what could I do differently to still survive in this market?
I think, and I hear what you're saying about the circumstances just being a circumstance, right? And so we've checked the box, we went through it, we're done, let's set it aside and let's move on. But I think one of the challenges or the repercussions because of what's been going on is that everyone's having to work so much harder for the same amount or less business,
Yep.
right? We're putting more effort into everything that we do that produces a result.
Yes.
And so I think that's where my fatigue comes from, is not really the election, man, not really that, like I get it. It was a thing and, all of that, but we voted and we're done. And so, yes, check the box. We put it aside and we go on. But it's the having to work so much harder for the same level of business or even less business. And I know my realtor friends have gone through this at a very high level. It's the asks, and some of these are something else.
Yeah,
I mean, and you're literally having to drop everything and try. I wish I had been more thoughtful about what I have been feeling before we met today, because I don't know that I've been able to reflect on it enough. And I know that I have a lot of clients that are feeling the same way as I'm feeling. It's just, and honestly, I never cuss on the show, but shit rolls downhill. You know what I mean? 100%. And so my realtor clients are having to deal with incredible asks from buyers and sellers, and that's rolling downhill to the affiliate partners to try to come together and to make the deals work, right?
Together and to fix it. Yeah. But even the words that we use, like I have to. You don't have to. We get to, right? It's just doing small, right? It's just doing small little things to change the way it lands on us. Like I have to work harder. You don't have to. I get to work differently. Yes, it might take more conversations than it has in the past, but it's a choice. And the cool thing is when I make that decision from a place of peace with it, I get to do this. How fortunate are we that we get to do what we do every day?
100%. I think we all have established that we love what we do, right? Yeah. This is not really a chore.
No.
It is, we do get to get up and be a part of this crazy world.
And, and the other thing too is sometimes we have to let go of the way it used to be, right? And make peace with that. COVID spoiled us a little bit. I say this all the time with no offense, but we moved from real estate agents to order takers. I mean, it was just boom, but you were taking orders as quick as you could. And then we did a hard pivot. The pendulum went, which it typically does, right? And it's like, you just have to make peace with the past and say, okay, that was great. What are the lessons from it that I can bring forward with me? And then look at the current landscape and say, this is what I get to do to be in the top 20, or this is what I get to do to make that impact that I want to make and not give up on it. And it just is a different shift of energy.
It's so funny that you say that, because I think everybody, whether they want to admit it or not, has had a really hard time letting go of the COVID mindset, right? Yep. But I think part of the problem, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you talk to a lot of realtors also, when I came in and it was the Great Recession, right? It was a gradual climb back into normalcy, right? It was not a flick a switch overnight kind of thing. And COVID turned on like a switch and it stopped like a switch. That's what it feels like. We had 2 years of absolute bananas.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden interest rates went up and it was just kind of like, okay, bam, like we need to reset into our more normal mindset, real estate mindset.
Yes.
I think that's just a big ask,
It is a big ask. And it really did turn things upside down for a while. And I think it made us, it shined the light on some of our deficiencies, because what happened during COVID is we stopped doing the basics.
Yep.
Right. We stopped doing our consistent lead gen. We stopped doing our consistent lead follow-up. We stopped marketing listings to get another listing. We just fell into this moment. And I think part of the struggle with letting go of the past is we realized that we didn't do as great of a job as honoring the basics. And sometimes that's the hard part of letting it go, is because you're doing an internal reflection of what should have I done differently. And we're rebuilding those skills. I mean, my goodness, if you entered as an agent during the pre and COVID times.
Oh yeah, you have no clue.
You have no clue what it's like to actually sell. No. So yeah, I think make peace with the past, embrace for what it was. What lessons did I learn from it that I can carry forward and that will impact my business now? And then what are the pivots I need to make that I get to do to achieve the goals that I have?
Yeah. I have to keep working on that because, during COVID, I would see the amount of contracts that would come in every day. And I'm like, yes, because I get juice from that, right? I'm a salesperson. Okay. I am a salesperson. And when contracts come in the door, I'm like, yes. And the level of contracts that were coming through the door versus the level of contracts that are coming in today, I called, this is a joke. Okay. Keith Williams, this is a joke. But I called Kelly and I was like, look, I think we're all going to have to fake refi our houses to get some contracts. To get some contracts at the door. We're all fake refi. Open some orders. How many houses do I have to fake refi so we can get some orders at the door? Because, and look, we're not hurting. Our office is profitable. You know what I mean? It's not like we have nothing happening. We have all kinds of things happening, but it's just, man, it has been hard to reset.
It is. Tamara, one thing too is like we look at it and we, for the last 12 months, have just embraced it. We've kind of switched back to a normal market, which we haven't had.
It is a normal market. We talked about that yesterday. There's nothing.
It's normal, right? There's nothing wrong with it. We're experiencing seasonality. We're experiencing what we used to experience. I mean, when I was an agent in Dallas, I could tell you 4th of July to Labor Day, it's going to slow down. That's just how it goes. But then Labor Day to this date, you just kind of knew.
Especially in Dallas, because all those Park City people, they fly
they're out. They're out of the heat. But I think you have to just embrace that normal is okay.
Okay.
No, that's it.
So you said something. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this question I'm going to ask you because I want to talk through this one because I got stuck on this one yesterday. Okay. The question is, how do we get out of the right now and live in the future? And so I'm switching gears, honestly, and we're going to look at 2025, right?
Yeah.
So how do we get out of the right now and live in our future space? That is a question that we came up with yesterday, and I still am trying to figure out how to do that.
Okay. And I appreciate that because it does take a minute. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, and I just want to, for people who are listening for the first time today, reflect back on it when you were a kid and you played make-believe or make pretend, right? Like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a mom. I want to be a dad. We didn't dive into how. We just lived as if we were that person in that moment. I was a doctor, right? I didn't sit there with myself and go, okay, to be a doctor, you got to get good grades. Then you got to go to get your undergrad. Then you got to do your MCATs. Then you got to then do a residency. We just didn't do that. We allowed ourselves to live as if it was the truth. And somewhere along the line, we were taught to stop doing that. And so it's hard to dust that off again. But that is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself, to allow yourself to dream again, to allow yourself to put yourself in the place of your future as if you've already accomplished it and not worry about how. Give your brain the grace of just saying, you did it. You did it.
So wait a minute. Okay, so let's say I want to buy 2 more rental houses next year.
Yep.
It's on the vision board. I cut out a picture of the house, put it on the vision board. I did my business planning. I have my goals. Because, right, you need to kind of do that before you can start envisioning your future self. Like, you got to kind of decide what you want next year to look like first.
I think they can happen simultaneously, because when you live in that space of the future, you're really just creating your vision of what you would like it to be and what you're wanting to create. And so I think they can happen at the same time. I would certainly sit with, this is where I see myself in terms of financial goals or income goals or net worth goal. And then put yourself in the place that it's done and let your brain experience it, because your mind will not know that it's not real. Your mind's like, okay, cool, it's done. Now I've created the possibility for my mind to now go do the work. And so really just sitting in the space of, the goal is done. I achieved it. What does that do for me? Like, who does it allow me to be? Not buy. I mean, in this case, yes, you're buying 2 rental properties, but what does it allow? Who and what does it allow you to be? At peace, happiness, secure. I'm secure in my future. I achieved this. I'm building towards my retirement. What does it allow you to be and experience all of those feels, all the good stuff?
Experience the feels. Okay.
Experience the feels, like it's done. I did it. This is freaking amazing. December 15th, I closed on my last investment property. What this is doing for me is this is how I feel. And those feelings are the language of the body. They're going to make you vibrate differently. They're going to just change the way you even present yourself, because it's going to feel really, really good. It's just a mind hack is all it is. It's
Really
letting
interesting. I'm going to sit with this. I always go on a trip for New Year's to to get ready for the next New Year. I don't like New Year's. I think it's for amateurs, but realtors, we all have the rest of the year. So anyway, I always go on some sort of yoga retreat or some sort of reset kind of trip for New Year's. So I'm going to take this question along with me and really kind of ponder it a bit more.
Yeah. And just allow yourself to enjoy and not worry about how, because the how will show up. The how will show up once you allow yourself to stay in that space. You get motivated in a different way and it will show up.
Well, and you kind of set the stage for the next question when you said, experience all the feels, right? Well, let's talk about one of the ones that we talked about this yesterday, the difference between happy and joy, right?
Yes.
So does it bring you happiness or does it bring you joy? And that's one of that's what your goals should do, right? Is take you on a journey to get more successful, accomplish the things that you want to, so that you have the kind of life by design that you want, right? So I thought it was really interesting because I've never really thought about the difference between happiness and joy. So why don't you talk about that difference?
Sure. Happy comes from happenstance, which means something externally happens. So you buy a new car, right? And you're happy usually, but it's fleeting. There's no longevity to it. It's for really a set time. And then before long, it's just a car, right? My happiness I was experienced by buying my dream car is great in the moment, but it doesn't carry you because suddenly the happiness part of it is gone and it's just a car. So it's dependent on something externally happening or happenstance to create the happiness. You're not in control of it. Versus joy is internal. Like what can I do to create a constant level of joy for you? I know we talked yesterday, it's that like a retirement plan, buying investment properties. That creates a peace inside of you.
Yeah, it's a peace. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Creates a joyful experience.
I bought this new dress and I was super happy when I bought it. Okay. I thought it was fabulous, But I put it on for the second time today and I'm like, okay, well then, now it's a dress in my closet, right?
Yep.
That's what you're talking about. Is that when you buy something, you get that charge, right? Or when something happens in your daily life, you get that charge, right? That rush of adrenaline that you just bought something or you just quickly accomplished something, right? But joy is your long-term happiness, right? Am I saying that right?
100%. Happiness does a quick release of the feel-good hormones in your body, and it's like a big adrenaline dump. You're like, oh my God, it feels great. But then it goes away because it was based on one thing happening versus creating, like my coach teaches us to create oh joy moments. It's like to really just sit back and say, what was an oh joy moment that happened to you this week? What was it that you're able to do? And that is creating the joyful journey that you desire to be on. And that to me is like that joy keeps the fire burning during the challenging times, the fatigue that we've experienced, all of that stuff. I can go buy something to make myself feel better in the moment. But if I really want to carry through the valleys and the peaks, I've got to have a sense of joy.
Yeah, I think we can all focus more on joy instead of happiness. Explains why I have so many Christmas decorations. Maybe really have my the person that comes over and helps me set up for Christmas, like, you bought more. I'm like, yeah, I did. It made me really happy at that moment, right? But joy, and actually a better way to do it would be to save that money and put it towards an investment Okay. Anyway, moving on, because we just exposed a little flaw in my plan. But I really like the conversation about the difference between happy and joy, because I never thought about it that way. That you plan, you save, you implement for the long-term success, right? You have to have both. And let's be clear about that. You got to have both. You can't just always be planning for the long term. You got to have some daily
You do.
Keep going with the long-term plan, right?
Yes.
I think they're both necessary. However, if all you do is focus on happiness or all you do is focus on the long-term joy, right? That's where I think there might be a problem.
Yeah, you have to chase happiness, right? You have
Yeah.
to create. And so joy is that internal drive. So you're right, do both. I think we don't reward ourselves enough as agents for accomplishing things.
Oh, some do.
Some do, right? But sometimes we just take it as it's just a job. I had 10 closings
I
this week.
do.
Just so you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about right now. We're kind of juggling between right now and the future, okay? And I didn't really organize my questions to really go into a flow, but that's okay. I don't think they have to. I think what I want to talk about as we're setting the stage for looking at next year, and this was a question from my escrow officer, Kelly. She said, how can we as professionals reinvigorate ourselves and get ready for 2025?
It's a great question, right? And I think it comes to something you said earlier. Is it okay to take a day? Is it okay to take some time off and do that? And I think it's very healthy to be able to do that. Sometimes you got to get off the speed train for a moment to allow yourself to prepare for the next year. But I think the biggest thing that you can do is, and I don't like the saying, don't take your foot off the gas, but I do think it is important to identify what are the key non-negotiables that I need to focus on and let go of some of the other stuff. That if I just did these 2 or 3 things, that would carry me into 2025 in a way that I could be successful and prepare me. And sometimes you got to let some of the other stuff go for a moment, depending on what you do for your lead gen. But if you wanted to get off social media for a moment or two, and that's not one of your key sources of lead generation, great, take a break from it. But focus on the key activities that will keep your business, the lights on and business coming in, will help with that balance, that you have some more time to do things that you want to do during the holiday season.
I love that so much. What are the key non-negotiables that I have to focus on right now? 2 to 3 things I have to focus on right now to keep the lights on and keep business coming in the door.
You got it. And that's it. That becomes your world for the next 60 days. And you make peace with that as well and be really good with it and give yourself the grace that this is going to be a great way for me to move forward.
I'm writing all these things down and I'm recording a podcast all at the same time. Anyway, okay, so I guess that pivots into my next question. Can you enjoy the holidays and work? How do you balance a little pressure now so you can be productive in January and February? Because look, everyone right now should be business planning, goal setting. I mean, honestly, that and the holidays, that's kind of what you're doing. But I think you went a little further yesterday because you said the goal is to open January 1 and have 1/3 of your Q1 goal already under contract.
Yes.
So it isn't just go to holiday parties and goal set. There is a little work involved in all this. So talk to me about how can we enjoy the holidays and work? How can you balance a little bit of pressure now so you can have that goal underway by January 1?
Yeah. So first thing is our world's changed a little bit with days on market and length of time from buyer broker agreement to buyer close, right? That picked up a little bit of days, right? On average across the country from the clients I coach, 60 is a fair number to say.
60 days?
60 days. So if we decided to step away from real estate for the next 60 days, November and December.
No, you can't do that.
No, to take that pause, and then we re-engaged in January. If we had a buyer or a seller on January 8th, because we're not going to work the first week of January,
Right.
We're now 60 days away from a paycheck. But
That's right.
You got to add in that time to get the seller, to get the buyers, so some lead gen time. So we really, we would never say I'm taking July and August off and then come back in September and be like, holy crap, now I got to really kick it in for Q4. So why I say it's important to pick those strategies that we're going to focus on, because 2025 has already started. If our sales cycle is 60 days, 60 days from today is January 12th.
That's right.
I'm in. Now, that's not saying great things still can't happen this year. We can still get a buyer, still get a seller. It can still happen. But really, our primary focus is on the next year. So it's
pipeline,
yeah. So it's really important. If I open January 1, and really we've never closed, I think is the important thing. But as I look at my business on January 1, if I've got 1/3 of my goal already in escrow, that allows me then to use January and February to get more business for Q1. If I wait, I'm really pushing it and I'm creating a gap for myself. So at a minimum, I would shoot for 30% of your quarter one goal to already be on the books when you open your eyes on January 1st.
So how do we balance taking a break and filling our pipeline and the holidays?
Schedule.
Time
blocking, everybody's favorite thing, because we all love freedom and flexibility. And it's like, I'm not time blocking.
Look, if you don't have a working calendar, and come on now.
And that's really, honestly, I learned this from Gary Keller, which was one of the most powerful things. The first of the year when I set to do my calendar, I booked my vacations first. That's the first thing on my calendar. And, he even taught us, like, buy non-refundable tickets, just get it done. So you're not tempted to not take the trip.
Yeah.
And I think that's important about going into the holidays, is looking at, hey, what are the important events during the holiday that I want to be present for? Get them on your calendar.
Okay.
And then build your business activities around it. And if you narrow it down to 3 things, we should be able to do it.
Okay. We don't have a lot of time left.
Yep.
I want to talk about your business plan, because it's literally, you said it was one page.
One page.
Just the one page.
One page.
I don't know that I've ever seen a business plan that's one page. I would like a copy of your if you hand it out, I would like a copy of
Happy to do it, and anybody can reach me and I'll share it with them. But really high level, it helps you create a 3-year vision, a 1-year goal, and a 90-day action. And what really works around this is we get stuck in the how when we cast that future vision, like we talked about earlier. When you go through this one page, it helps you break it down. And by the time you get to the end of the one page, you got your how. And we break it down into a 90-day sprint, because what we're doing is eliminating, and I'm an agent, so I can say this, oh, I had a bad January, but it's only January, I got all year. No, I got 90 days. I got 90 days to hit this goal, and it shortens the attention span, and it allows you to celebrate a little bit more if it's 90 days. So that's really the vision behind a one-pager for a couple things. It breaks it down for you. It makes it make sense. It breaks it into a 90-day chunk, and you should have that in front of you at all times.
So interesting. I can't wait to see this thing.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, before we end, any last-minute advice you would like to leave with the realtor audience while they're getting ready for next year?
Yes. Believe in it's possible, and it's possible for you. And if you got to go find somebody who's already doing what you want to do it for that sake, not for comparison. Do it for the sake of calming your mind down, saying, you know what, if this person can do it, so can I. So create the space of possibility for yourself is number one, is really get into that space. And then I would say, look at your best month you had in 2024. And what if every month next year was your best month? What if you've done it once?
I would be happy.
Well, here's the deal, right? If we've done it once, we can do it again. So could we build our business plan around that and create 12 months next year of our best month in 24?
I think that's so great. Okay, that is great. That is a great place to stop for today. Actually, I could have had we could have done an hour or two. I just feel a little rejuvenated after our conversation today.
I'm glad.
So thank you so much, Tony. I hope the rest of the audience does too. And I reserve the right to ask you to come back.
Hey, I'll come back anytime.
Okay, good. Well, that's a wrap on episode 88. 88 with the closing table with Lawyer's Title. Again, I'm your host, Tamera Gady. If you like my content, you're really going to love my escrow team. So let's get a conversation going about your title needs, and you make it a great day.